So we're going to do something a little bit different today because I got an email from one of my followers. Thank you so much. I will leave you anonymous as you have requested, and thank you so much for giving me the permission to share this and to have a discussion with everybody, because I think that what the contents of this email talks about is something that I think a lot of other people can relate to and grow from and can have discussions about. So let's dive in. Oh my goodness, before we dive in, hi, my name is Shayna. I'm a journalist. I talk a lot about decentering men, child-free living, and my life in Spain is something that I'm trying to talk a little bit more about. Also, forgive the voice if you're a veteran here. I'm recovering from a cold because I did not take care of myself when I came back from South Africa, and this is what happens. I am also currently under a blankie. So if any of that sounds like a vibe, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, maybe you too should be under a blankie. And if you're interested in joining my masterclass, that's going to be launching in early January of 2025. So that way you could learn how to write for money, because writing for free is cute, but writing for money is always better. Please send me your email address either by emailing me or via DM, so that way I could put you on the mailing list. Great, now that that's done, let's dive in to this. Hi, I love your videos. They've helped me a lot in my journey of decentering men. No problem, happy to help. When I openly express my feminist views in front of my family in response to misogynistic things said, men in my family started making fun of me. After this happened a few times, my mom said to me that although my views were correct, that I should act on them in practice. I think that's supposed to be private. I shouldn't vocalize it like that in front of people, because then people might start to instigate me to set me off. And also because it will give men more information to manipulate me in romantic situations. I did understand her point, but I feel like if we keep being quiet on misogynistic jokes, it will continue happening. Right up top, it will continue happening, and I can't stand it anymore. What do you think is the correct way to handle these situations? I have thoughts. I'm referring to the handy dandy notebook. Huzzah. Oh, and if you guys would also like some handy dandy notebooks, I have like so many of them. I'm going to include a link over here somewhere so that way you could grab some if you're interested. No pressure though, but here are my thoughts. As for what you said in the beginning about men in your family creating, like, instigating you and making misogynistic jokes, and your mom being like, oh, maybe you could do this so that way this wouldn't happen to you as much, that's not a real thing. There is a word that I cannot remember, but it's blank, there's a phrase, and it's blank politics. And it's basically talking about what I'm going to describe right now, and I just can't remember the phrase. If you remember the phrase, please type it in the comment section. But there is nothing that you can stop a man from being problematic, dangerous, good, kind, etc. It is their character, regardless of what you do, what you say, how you dress, where you go, etc. And if you choose, because I would like to give you the space to know that you always have a choice. If you choose to continue to stay in contact or have conversations with the misogynistic men in your family, please know that they will also choose, regardless of whether you speak out against it or not, they will continue to share their misogynistic beliefs. And not even just to get a rise out of you, even though it does like scratch a booga part of their brain, but just because it's literally what they believe. I personally believe in the absolute power of your silence, of removing yourself. That is literally reclaiming your own energy, removing it from other people's interference. So it seems like these men in your family really enjoy your discomfort, really enjoy bringing women down, and you speak up about it, right? Which is great, but also they don't care. They don't care. Your words, your energy is falling on deaf ears. At this point, they will not change. So you can continue to participate if you choose with them, but also you can remove yourself. You could just not participate with them, and that is fine. If they have an issue with it, then listen, it's their issue. And I want to talk about the next thing that your mom spoke about, where it was like, is it right up here? Romantic situations and romantic manipulation. Okay, so I'm just going to read from here. If you mean what you say and you say what you mean, then men don't need to know all of your thoughts, especially if you're talking to them about certain things like that feel like work. So if you're talking to a man, right, step number one, questionable. But if you are talking to a man and he is being intentionally obtuse, or if he genuinely does not have the capability of understanding what you are saying, this is not somebody we're going to focus on here. If he's being intentionally obtuse or does not have the capability of understanding what you're saying, and you are feeling like you are doing unpaid labor, especially if you are a marginalized woman, and they're not paying you for this. You don't have to go back and forth with this. And when it comes to the idea of men manipulating you, here's an example of how I see this situation playing out in my mind. And I don't think that it's an issue. So, for example, you say, I don't like being around misogynistic men, hypothetically. If that's true, then these men need to consistently prove that they are not misogynistic in order for you to like being around them. And this is not something that takes a few days or a few weeks. This is an ongoing thing that they need to continue to prove that they are. For example, if you say that I like being around kind people, then you will be around people that continue to prove that they are kind, not because they are proving it, but because that is who they are, that is their character, and thus proving that they are kind. So basically, if you give the man the opportunity to prove himself, then I don't see where the manipulation can come in. Unless you're the kind of person that just like falls for the idea of somebody instead of their reality, that falls for which also, I don't like the idea of falling in love. You need to have 2 feet on the ground at all time when you are dealing with these men. But regardless, if you always have to love yourself more. And you have to love yourself more so that way you can leave when and if the mask comes off. And then I don't think that manipulation can be a thing. In my experience anyway, listen, you could be like, oh man, I'm disappointed. To a degree, you can be heartbroken, but like, you have to love yourself more. All right, let's continue on to the bottom half. Also, feel free to share your thoughts on everything that I'm saying in the comment section. Also, I have noticed that whenever I watch romantic content, series, movies, I start fantasizing about and craving relationships. And I feel like I'm going backwards in my decentering men journey. I don't want to settle for some guy. I would prefer to be single than to be with a man just for the sake of it. Do you think not watching romantic content should be a part of the decentering men journey? Thank you for your work. I would like to remain anonymous. If you happen to discuss this on your channel, and then she and I went back and forth for a little bit, and I said I would like to discuss this, and you will remain anonymous, bang, bang, boom, and ignore the request for that. That's just work stuff. Now, as it relates to the romantic content, movies, series in general, I think that this is a great question. And I think that the answer to this depends on, you really got to know yourself and know where you are in your journey if you happen to want to engage in this kind of content. For example, if you're relatively new into your decentering men journey and you're like, oh, well, like, I think this is a thing that would be good for me, but let me just like hop onto couples TikTok. And then you see some like cute stuff and you're like, oh no, now I want this. Then maybe searching out romantic content might not be where you want to be focusing your energy right now. But I do also think that there is an when I see couples content, when I see romantic content or like Hallmark movies or like actual, what is Hallmark except a departure from reality, right? But whenever I see romantic content, I think that it is fascinating. And I think that it's a thing that needs to be discussed and studied and not just ingested as potential reality. And I'm going to explain what that means. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to be putting movies and series in one category and content that you see on TikTok in a separate category, because I think this is where things start to get tricky. So I'm going to talk about this side over here: movies, series, streaming services, all of that, romantic content over here. So with that, I like to think about it like, what is the message of this? What is objectively happening? Who are the people in this movie series that the creators, that the directors, that the people that have invested millions of dollars want me, what do these people have a vested interest in me experiencing with these two people outside of just love? Other questions to ask yourself. I'm referring to my handy dandy because I'm like, Shayna, this is good shit. So what is it objectively? Who has power in this dynamic and who does not? And look for the patterns, not just the patterns in this, but the patterns in the other kinds of highly curated media that you ingest that makes you feel a kind of thing. And what are the patterns in it? Not just the lovey-dovey feelings, but what are the dynamics that keep coming up, that keep drawing me in? And why do I like it? Why does it create this feeling in me? And as you're asking yourself these questions and looking at this content for what it actually is and breaking it down, is this healthy? Or is this problematic? Or is this just flat out toxic? A lot of these rom-coms have a basis in women finally being able to count on a man to save them at some point in some way, right? And I'm not going to talk for everybody, but in my personal lived experience in this body, I have never seen a man actually save a woman when it counts in the moment. After the fact, once again, in my reality, after the fact, they talk a big game, they say the big things that, oh, well, I would have done this and that. In reality, when push comes to shove, when you need somebody here and now, I've seen other women step in for women. I've seen other women like take hits for women, physically, metaphorically, all of that. I have seen women stand in the gap, women, femmes, and non-binary people. For me, in my personal life, women and non-binary people, women, queer people, have stood up for me when my life actually needed it. And yes, there were men present. So when I think about my lived experience of men as it relates to what it is that millions of dollars have been invested in me trying to feel, I think that there's a conversation to be had there. And listen, if you want me to like do a deep dive on some of your favorite movies, I think that would be really fun. If that's something that you're interested in, please type in some of your favorite movies that you'd like me to like talk about in the comment section. And as it relates to TikTok kind of content, because I think that this is where reality and fiction have blended so much so that people are always asking for couples content, for big arguments, for things like where people are like, is this a skit? Am I watching real life or am I watching a semi-produced thing? And I think that the response to this kind of romantic content could be different. If you feel differently, please let me know in the comment section. But when I come across a video of a couple or of an individual person that says, interacts, behaves in a way that makes me go, oh, you know what, I would like that. I just store it in my head as, oh, that is something that I would like. I don't want, if I could have that, it would be great. If I can't have that, then like, I don't want it, you know? And that's just where my brain stores it. It kind of goes into my no less than file in my head. And then I just keep it pushing. And it doesn't make me go, oh my gosh, I need that now. Or, oh, I'm sad because I don't have that right now. I just go, that would be a thing that I would like. That is a thing. Oh, that is a new thing to add to my list of no less thans. Not something to make me sad. Does that make sense? And that's regardless of if it's a skit or not. Because if it is a skit and these men are doing this or these couples are doing that, then like it's just making the game harder for men to get access to me. And listen, the more barriers that I can put between me and a booga trying to play, I'm gonna take it. You give me blockade after blockade after blockade. If somehow you can make it through all of it. And I'm not saying that I'm closed off. Like I recognize, let me phrase this well. I recognize that as women that are attracted to men, as people that are attracted to men, but especially as women who are attracted to men, we are, heterosexuality is the only thing that I do not like about myself. We are attracted to our natural predators. Period, point blank, it's just what it is. So the more things that I could do to protect myself while still potentially, listen, I'm not talking to nobody right now, and I don't know when I will, but there are things that we need to do to protect ourselves. And some people should say, oh, you need to be more open. You need to, like, oh, you're so, to a degree, I could get that, especially if that is causing issues in your other relationships. If you feel like you're not able to be open with your friends, to your family, to the people that are trying to be there, be your community, then you're seeing the pattern of that in other aspects of your life. But also as it relates to like men, I've done a whole video, I'm gonna tag it somewhere, like us being in relationships with men, it benefits their health. It does not benefit ours in very literal ways. Like we lose years off of our life generally. So having that, being careful of what that looks like within our lives, those parameters to make sure that I can stay safe. I've seen too much, which is why a lot of these men talk about, oh, when you hit 30, you hit the wall and da-da-da. We've just seen too much to play those games that we might have played when we were in our teens and 20s. And they know that, so they change the verbiage. So I think that watching content like there is on TikTok needs to be done through an even more critical lens than it comes to the more highly curated forms of media, because the obviousness of this being curated is in the format. It is the fact that you are in the movie theaters, that you are watching it on your phone, on your laptop, on Hulu, on Netflix. This though, this side over here with TikTok, it plays with real life. On YouTube, it plays with real life, and you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. So those are my thoughts. I just think, listen, if it hits you the wrong way, if romantic content hits you the wrong way and it makes you feel uncomfortable and it makes you feel sad, then yeah, take a break from it. But if you are interested in looking at it through a more critical lens, almost putting on your like anthropological, your historical, your literary hats and looking at what is this piece of art trying to make me do, trying to make me feel, trying to, I think that could be another way to continue to decenter men through a lens that is a little bit more analytical. So those are my thoughts. Happy to hear yours. Type them in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.